Well, so here we go again with something broken that I bought off eBay. Here's again the Heathkit Marauder HX-10, a really handsome looking radio. Clean as a whistle, pretty much. Unbelievably clean. Hailing from the early 60s, this thing must not have been used by the owner, but it did arrive to me broken, so it had a few issues. One was a shorted 6146, which I think I probably shorted it, putting extra voltage in. Yeah, I put in 123 volts for my wall socket, and that might have stressed the tube, which was already original, or the trip via UPS shorted the tube. So I've ordered 2 new tubes for it. That short basically caused my high voltage B plus to ground, and I had to put a new rectifier in, which is that little round guy there with 2 high voltage diodes in series. So now I have basically 6 kilovolt PIV diodes from each leg of the transformer going into the B plus lead that leads to the finals, that goes right to the high tension leads here, which are those guys with the little eyelets that go to the final tubes. So that's under inspection. I took the VFO out, so this thing has quite a, I liked it initially. I suppose it's well built, considering it's not very accessible for repair. Removing it is the nightmare, but I finally got the thing out. And now it's on my workbench here, which is my office desk also, and I tend to get paperwork from the post office shipping boxes and use them as a mat to fix things on. So anyway, here's the VFO, and I thought it had a Drake type, piston in it. They bragged about that in the literature for this thing, but instead we have a variable capacitor, a Johnson variable capacitor, and someone's been hacking on this thing with the tension. I'm not gonna mess with it. It seems like it's good. So this thing simply was not working. And to test this thing, I need to put in 150 volts B plus, which I'll run a wire from here and try and test on the bench here. And it needs 6 volts for the filament. So I can probably test it here on the bench to fix it. And that's what I'll do. So of note was how this variable capacitor is mounted in this little box here that the gentleman built a long time ago. This radio was owned by a gentleman in Connecticut, I'm supposing, or New England, and he did a pretty good job building it. I mean, I'm not going to criticize the guy. These aren't easy to build, at least not for me. So I pulled this variable capacitor out, and one critical note I have here is that it was mounted to this trimmer here, and they have a physical mount from here to this pin here, which is rather insane. So I'm going to put a piece of wire in there. Not that it matters, these frequencies. This thing's, 5 megahertz. A little piece of wire is not going to hurt it. But if you see how this thing went in here, you'll see my concern. So it goes in like this, and you'll see that little pin will connect with the other pin. And you can't have something, excuse my fumbling here to get this back in. Doing it backwards, yes. It goes like this. Yeah, it goes like that. It does go like that, I think. Yeah. Let's see. Yep. So anyway, this pin here contacts this pin. I need to get a pointer for you. So this pin here contacts this pin here. And you can't have something like that on this mechanical stuff. So that's how that goes. This ground, or it's not really ground. Yes, it is a ground actually. So this should be grounded because this capacitor is grounded, and it connects here to a ground on the RF plug, the RF out plug there. That's a grounded plug. So I don't like that at all. Just because I would rather have this grounding through the case and all the screws. So I'm going to drill a hole here and put a piece of wire down to here and a nut to ground that, and then I'll solve that issue. This, I'm going to put a piece of wire in. So that might fix this VFO. And you can see they have these high precision capacitors in here, which are kind of cool. So then the next thing is, did the gentleman solder the rest of this thing correctly? I don't know, but I'm just going to go through here and look for bad solder joints, bad parts, and try and... It doesn't really need cleaned up. It just needs maybe all the joints touched with a soldering iron to make sure they're all hot and good. So that's what I'll do, and then I'll put 150 volts in this thing, and from the Marauder with some wire, and I'll put in 6 volts. I can put in 6 volts from my power supply over here actually, and then just see if this thing will come on and fire up, and then I'll put it back together and I'll bash it around and make sure it doesn't fail, because it's hard to put this thing back in the radio. It's a lot of work, and then I'll put it back in the radio transmitter. So that would fix one issue with it. I'm not sure these injection crystals are even working right. I couldn't really see them on the receiver, so that would be the next thing to fix. And then over here, the sideband crystal's working, so there's still a bunch of work to be done, but obviously it's not going to work without the VFO going at all. So that's the first step to do. Get this fixed up. So that's what's on my mind right now. I had a job interview today also, and it went rather well. They're going to pass me on to the next stage of my interview process. So I've been studying some networking switches for that job. We'll see how that goes. Okay, well, thanks. Wish me luck. And been watching 10 meters here on the big receiver. And there's stuff going on. Yeah, those are Australians, it sounds like, for the accent. So busy times on ham radio. It would be good to get this transmitter working and give it a go. In fact, I should show you the schematic for the radio here. So yeah, I was going through the theory of this VFO, and 6AU6 pentode V11 with a coiled pit circuit. So, and the V12. So I had 2 6AU6s. There's one in the radio that's used, I think, as an amplifier to the driver. So I switched the tubes around to make sure that wasn't just a bad tube before I pulled this thing out of the radio. So this thing goes like 5.5 to 4.9. So yeah, I couldn't see any signal on my receiver here. So I've been running this program here and looking for a signal down below, and I couldn't see anything. So it's no worky. Anyway, let's go to the schematic down below here. Heathkit manual is pretty nice. Yeah, okay, there's the schematic right there. Look at that. So they put it right down there in the theory section here. And yeah, they don't do a real good job of attaching this capacitor. They show like an inductor here. I guess I'm kind of hurt. So wait a minute, where's that inductor? Okay, that's this guy here. And what's the inductor do? Okay, that's called set. So I guess that might set like a gross, yeah, sets the gross frequency on it. I was screwing with that too, so yeah. Okay, and then I guess one of these is the capacitor. This one or this one. Okay, one's a 50, right? 50 UF, 0 to 20. So 4.9 to 50, 0 to 20. So 0 to 20 must be this little guy here, and 0 to 50 must be this big dude here, the Johnson. So that's how she works. We got 140 volts coming in here, 150 volts B plus coming in. The switch will turn on the plate to this tube here via a voltage divider, and then this thing fires up as a coiled pit. So that's what I'm up against. I guess those are the precision capacitors in here. So they got these precisions working here. They got a diode, they got a coil. So LC, L, and C. And that's how it works. And they got some fancy capacitors here to keep it from drifting when the temperature changes. They also keep these filaments on when the thing's plugged in the wall, so they do a lot to keep this VFO solid. So that's it. So I'm hoping that if I can just fix these joints in here, this VFO comes back to life. I'll make another video of the VFO. If I get it working, I'll make a video and show you how that's going. So that's my little hack today on the workbench. And I gotta get this cleaned up in here. All right, well, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Again, this is for the Heathkit Marauder, otherwise an HX-10 transmitter. Quite a beast. It weighs about 80 pounds. Take care.